13th, and this is, of course, your daily financial news. A couple of quick notes before we get started in the daily financial news. First and foremost, we will be doing our live Q&A at 8 o'clock Pacific. We will do it from my computer so that I have more real estate and can really take your questions there. I look forward to these, and we will be back at it this week. If you're one of my students, we will also be doing our 9 a.m. session in our private Facebook group. So after 2 weeks of no live sessions, we will be back at it today. Next up, for those of you looking for the Brian Lebo interview about Las Vegas, it will be coming out today. I think it's scheduled for 11 or 12 o'clock. We recorded it late yesterday, and it just wasn't the right time to load it, so it will go out this morning. Real quick tidbit about Vegas is it is hot, hot, hot. No inventory, prices going up. Brian and I have a lot of discussion about that and where real estate might go nationally, but obviously a lot about Vegas. Very fun interview. And then yesterday, a true highlight for me. As you know, on this channel, if you watch it, I have a particular passion for helping people get their first or their next rental property. And I've been reaching out to students. I want to run through a list of questions like, how'd you find the channel? What do you think? All of those things. And thankfully, we had two great interviews yesterday. One with Roldan in the morning, and then we had Nathan and Joanna in the afternoon. Go ahead and take a look at those interviews. They're a lot of fun talking about what they took away, what they like, all of those things. So lots of fun stuff going on in those interviews yesterday. Do me a favor, check those out. Send them some love for, doing something for the channel and supporting it. So very, very cool. So as we wrapped up the week, we have a lot of discussion, I guess, or at least when I look at my YouTube feed, it seems to be, hey, either you have paper or diamond hands, which I don't really get. I guess that means you stay in or you don't. About buy the dip. I get it. Having been doing this for nearly 30 years, there are sometimes it's not buy the dip. It might be a falling knife, or basically the market is readjusting. And we are going from, cult-based stocks that only go up to, we are going to reevaluate, and we are going to look at value stocks and grand reopening. So what I think is happening is a great rotation. To be clear, I am not against tech. I think Tesla is changing the world. I think AI companies are changing the world. I just think there's a rotation. And where you used to be priced at 100 or 150 time sales, you are going to be, the multiple is going to collapse. Now, if you have unlimited holding time and you make a lot of money with YouTube videos and you can suffer the losses and you can hold, by all means, go nuts. You will win in the long term. As Warren Buffett says, never bet against America. So if your holding time frame is forever, awesome. I learned during my foray into stocks, going from nothing to something and losing it, that not everybody can hold that long. And sometimes the emotion gets the better of you. It's why I've stayed out of stocks. I know that I have that bent where I just can't sleep. I'm thinking about it so much. So that's why I do real estate. It's just easier, slower moving. You can really learn a market and create value. But yeah, it seems to be interesting. I think we just have a stock rotation, but a lot of the other channels out there talking about stocks want you to believe it's a buy the dip moment. And I think that's unfortunately going to cause some pain because if you don't appreciate when the market changes and your thesis is wrong, right? Maybe it worked for a year, but if your thesis is suddenly invalidated, that can get expensive. But we'll see. They focus on stocks a lot more than I do, but it's just interesting to see that maybe they're not appreciating a true rotation when it seems so obvious. Just on that point, to show you how obvious it kind of feels, the Dow, kind of the old drudgy index, actually has beaten the NASDAQ 4 weeks in a row, and that doesn't happen a lot. So just shows you that, maybe we do have a rotation going on. It's going to be interesting. I've talked about very much my call on January 1st, which I feel great about, watching the 10-year. We saw it rear its ugly head yesterday and spiked to 1.629, which is the highest of the year. I think it goes higher. There are increasing calls for 2%, which I really think starts to unsettle certainly highly levered stocks. In addition to that, you should have been hearing from me a lot of kind of tech names reducing guidance. Even if they beat the top and bottom lines, they beat on revenue, they beat on profit. Many of them are kind of ratcheting back expectations. So we need to pay attention to that. So if you're looking in the US for signs that our economy is heating up, it is the 10-year. But if you're looking at the world, and I do think this is going to be a worldwide recovery, which is awesome, I think we need to look at copper and oil, kind of the base commodities that go into an expanding economy. So if you're trying to see if the world is overheating, I suggest we watch oil and copper. Something that maybe hasn't been talked about enough is the rental assistance that has been a part of these companies or part of these stimulus packages. We had, I think it was 20 billion in the first and 25 billion in the most recent. You know, that puts rental assistance out there at $45 billion. It seems like it's going to be allocated at the state level. There are obviously going to be requirements, but it sounds like some rental assistance is coming for tenants and for landlords. Rest assured, there will be qualifications. Probably someone has to be unemployed, probably below some income levels, but at least there is some help coming. Something I'm starting to see is affordable housing is really becoming kind of like the endangered species. We have all these rising construction costs. We already have rising building labor costs. So we're seeing more and more inventory come above the median, which is just really removing affordable housing. I got these numbers from a CNBC video this morning. I haven't validated them, but it's CNBC with Diana Olick. Apparently, 96% of Class C apartments are occupied. Now, that doesn't say they're paying, but let's just assume it's 96%, which is pretty high. In the Midwest, 99% occupied. Right? There's a lot of talk of Class A, a lot of talk of millennials wanting to live in urban cores, but realize we have, Class C apartments, affordable housing that are, just falling off. And, if people want to go to houses next, same deal, right? In my market, medians call it 360. I want to play anywhere below 250, and those are getting harder and harder to find. So what's going to happen? Rents are going to go up, right? Prices will rise first, rents will happen next. So if you are playing in the affordable housing space, I think you have a couple of good years of rent increases coming. The thing we have to ask ourselves as investors is where the 10-year goes. Can it get to that 2% as we talked about earlier this year? If it does, the 30-year mortgage might be high threes, low fours. Realize that is historically low, but I think it's enough to slow some demand. So we have to watch that. And then again, just talking about Vegas with Brian Lebo later, man, we were both thinking there's a crash coming in 2021 when we started that interview series 10 months ago. All I got to tell you is listen to Brian. He's like, not happening. No crash 2021. So it's pretty crazy. And then lastly, MicroStrategies. I have to wonder when MicroStrategies, that company, Michael Saylor buying Bitcoin every time they can. They're almost up to, I think, 100,000 coins. I wonder when MicroStrategy has to go private, because at some point you are no longer being fiduciary to your shareholders. I would think your treasury is a little too lopsided. So I don't know. Do you sell off 20,000 coins and just go private? That way, Michael, you can do whatever the heck you want. I don't know. Yeah, you're a software company, but now you're a Bitcoin holding company. I don't know. Just kind of crazy. So anyways, That's what I got for you today. Again, 8 o'clock, we will do our live Q&A, which is always fun, always a highlight for me, and then my students at 9 o'clock. So at the end, take care of yourself. Have fun. Bye-bye.